Hey everyone, it's Lexi. So in today's video, I'll be sharing with you my summer reading list. So these are books that are on my TBR that I want to get to this summer that I've either been waiting to read this season or I feel like are just perfect to read during kind of the warmer months. So without further ado, let's get started. So this first one is one that I feel like is a little bit on the nose just with the title, and it is The Summer Guest by Tess Gerritsen. This is the second book in like the Spy Coast series, I'm guessing, and this is perfect timing too because I believe the third book comes out sometime in August, so I'll be able to get caught up with the series. But basically the premise of this series overall is that we follow these characters that live in a small town in remote Maine, and a few of the residents are actually former CIA operatives that have retired there, and it kind of just follows their lives where their past missions will come up from the past. So this one says, when former spy Maggie Bird retired to the seaside hamlet of Purity, Maine, she settled for a quiet life with breathtaking views. But enemies of her past soon threatened to destroy everything. Maggie survived thanks to her wits and the collective intelligence of the Martini Club, the circle of ex-CIA friends in her cocktail-sipping book club. Their handiwork, however, caught the attention of young police officer Joe, Joe and her neighborhood ex-spies have an uneasy alliance. After a teenager vanishes and Maggie's neighbor becomes the prime suspect, she joins the investigation determined to prove her friend's innocence. But the girl's wealthy family pushes for an arrest, and when authorities discover a long-dead corpse in a nearby pond, the case becomes doubly complicated, with unthinkable ties to long-buried secrets. This one just seems like a lot of fun. Tess Gerritsen wrote the Rizzolian Isles series, which was one of my first crime series that I ever really got into. So I'm excited for this one because I feel like I want to get to know more about these characters and more of their background. So I feel like especially the cover on this, I think perfectly captures the summer season. And again, like I said, I think I was just a little bit, got a little lucky with this one because I feel like it's just perfect for summer. Next, this is a book that's been on my TBR for a while, and I don't know, for whatever reason, I've just been holding out reading this until the summertime. I don't know why I decided that this is a book that I want to read during the warmer months, and it is called Booth by Karen Joy Fowler, and this follows obviously John Wilkes Booth and his kind of weird family and his upbringing, which seems really interesting. So it says, in 1822, a secret family moves into a secret cabin some 30 miles northeast of Baltimore to farm, to hide, and to bear 10 children over the course of the next 16 years. Junieth Booth, breadwinner, celebrated Shakespearean actor, and master of the house in more ways than one, is at once a mesmerizing talent and a man of terrifying instability, given to drunken threats and directives amid a theater-born wisdom. One by one, the children arrive, and year by year, the country draws frighteningly closer to the boiling point of secession and civil war. As the tenor of the world shifts, the Booth emerge from their hidden lives to cement their place as one of the country's leading theatrical families. But behind the curtain of the many stages they have graced, multiple scandals, family triumphs, and criminal disasters begin to take their toll, and the solemn siblings of John Wilkes Booth are left to reckon with the truth behind the destructively spacious promise of the early prophecy. This is what I just think is really interesting. I don't really know, outside of obviously John Wilkes Booth, I don't really know too much about him outside of the assassination. I don't know too much about his family. So I think this one will be like a very interesting historical fiction take on him and his family. So I'm very curious to see how I feel about this one. I've been slowly making my way through the Bridgerton book series, and I only have one left, and the last one is On the Way to the Wedding by Julia Quinn, and this follows Gregory's story. I've kind of almost done with this series, which is really exciting. I don't want to know too much about these, especially with romance ones, but I've been kind of waiting for the summer to read this. If you guys recommend these as audiobooks, let me know. I've been in a very big audiobook kick, and usually I just get these from the library, so if you guys recommend these as an audiobook, please let me know. Next is another book that's been on my TBR for a while, and I feel like I don't know why it just thinks, maybe it's because it's more contemporary, but I feel like this is a good summer read, and it is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. And this one is just very interesting, and I know people were like talking about this book a few years ago when it came out, so I want to see what all the hype was about. But it says, on a bitter cold day in the December of his junior year at Harvard, Sam exits a subway car and sees amid the hordes of people waiting for the platform Sadie. He calls her name. For a moment she pretends she hasn't heard them, but then she turns and a game begins, a legendary collaboration that will launch them to stardom. These friends, intimate since childhood, borrow money, beg favors, and before even graduating university, they have created their first blockbuster, Ikago. Overnight the world is there, spanning 30 years from Cambridge to Venice Beach. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is a dazzling novel that examines the multifarious nature of identity, disability, failure, and redemptive possibilities in play, and above all our need to connect, to be loved, and to love. Yes, it's a love story, but it's not in the way you've read before. This one just seems really interesting. I love especially like character pieces that follow the characters over decades, and so I really love that. So I'm very curious to see what all the hype is about. I'm just really excited to see how I feel about this one. And again, I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the wave on the cover, but maybe that's why I feel like this is a summer read. But yeah, definitely very curious how I feel about this one. And lastly, I believe this is a good summer book as well, and it is When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill. And again, I think it's because of the flowers, but I think the premise of this one is very interesting, and I love anything that explores like female rage or anything like that. But it says, Alex Green is a young girl in a world much like ours, except for its most seminal event, the mass dragoning of 1955, when hundreds of thousands of ordinary wives and mothers sprouted wings, scales, and talons, left a trail of fiery destruction in their paths, and took to their sky. Was it their choice? What will become of those left behind? Why did Alex's beloved Aunt Marla transform, but Alex's mother did not? No one knows. It's taboo to speak of it. Forced into silence, Alex nevertheless must face the consequences of this astonishing event. A mother more protective than ever, an absentee father, their upsetting and insistent that her aunt never existed, and watching her beloved cousin Beatrice become dangerously obsessed with the forbidden. This one I just think is really interesting. I love books that take like magical realism or fantastical elements, insert them into like our real world, and then use that as some sort of commentary on in this case female rage, feminism, the feminist movement, all those things. So I'm really excited to see how this book tackles those topics and themes throughout this book, especially with this very interesting premise, and this also taking place in the 1950s, where women were supposed to be in the home and all that stuff. So I'm very curious. This one just seems really super interesting, unique, and I love delving into female rage overall. So definitely excited to dive into this one this season. But that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what books are on your summer reading list and all of that fun stuff. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.